It's time for another deck profile, everybody. This time on a clan that we've given a lot of crap to. And now, after looking at them, kind of wonder why we did. The Nova Grapplers. This particular version being the Azura Kaiser Dragon build. So, history on this one. As... Oh, you want to go first? No.
It never worked. It just didn't.
Yeah.
And we couldn't figure it out.
For me, I'd have to sack, and I think in that build we also had Moai the Great, so we played like 10 grade 3s.
Yeah, it was just not clicking. And for a while we couldn't figure out why. And then I decided to throw Oasis Girl in and a few more triggers that are now available.
And some other weird decisions like dropping Death Army Lady count.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, freaking works really well. Yeah, we owe the deck an apology.
Yeah, I guess it was back in the day we were still trying to learn tricks and reps for Vanguard.
Stands, go home. You're not needed here.
Yeah, this definitely doesn't need stand triggers. This playstyle is actually the way Kamui plays it in the show.
Very, very reckless.
Yeah. Be reckless.
The faster you get them to 5, the more your stand skills matter.
Yep. And the more any trigger will just butt hurt them.
Especially these on turn 2.
Well, I guess we should start talking about the deck. Starting with the starter.
My Tiger.
Vanilla 5K.
Vanilla 5K, he's there because he's there.
You might do this once in a while, but really it's just so you don't lose a card because Battle Riser sucks.
Yeah. Not much you can say about that other than he's the only thing available. But if you get lucky, you might be able to stand your whole field minus your Vanguard if you set up the field right. So, on to the triggers then. We do 4 heal. They're separated because I wanted to include both.
Clara's holding the deck back.
Probably. All I know is 4 Clara means that you will never get her except for when you draw her for the turn.
Very much.
You can do this one any way you like, but this one, our version is holding 6 critical, 6 draw, because the extra card in your hand lets you hold out a bit longer.
Especially with most gamers when I use this.
Field more stuff, because Dote's going to be killing it all.
Yeah.
Yep, so it helps you get yourself back into the game if things start blowing your stuff up, which, if I recall, was a big problem with Nova Grapplers at the time.
This deck had a small pattern for me where I just play my cards and ended up having a small hand without having any draws popping up.
So at the end of 6, you generally have at least 6 or 7 cards in your hand on average.
And against non-cross rides, the draw triggers make good boosters.
Which
this is incredibly relevant.
Yeah, it is. And we'll talk about that a bit later. On to the grade 1s. 4 Death Army guy forever.
Play it.
It's
done.
It's best card. And well, for a reason we'll talk about later also.
Grappler. Just play it.
Just do it. Do it. 4 Twin Blader because perfect guard.
Do it.
Although we were considering taking out 1 for...
We were considering just dropping to 3 so we can perform all of these aggro nerf cards, but it seems to be fun for now.
But seems fine as is, so we'll keep it going. This is integral to the plot.
It's a nice touch, because, yeah, you can hit for those higher numbers with Death Metal Droid for a lot cheaper, but here's the thing, you're playing Death Metal. It's not a good ride, and you have to keep paying for that if you want to, swing solo or anything that actually matters.
Yep. Meanwhile, this one, 7K booster. Always cool. It's okay if you ride it.
Throw it behind Army Lane. You can actually, well, not always, but sometimes you'll hit 18 twice if you set that up right.
And of course, it helps for a nice push because usually, with the exception of the droid, this deck is not known for being able to break 20
Jack.
ever.
You just throw this behind an 11k and counterblast 3. It's expensive, but the deck doesn't use the counterblast for much, so who cares?
Yeah, exactly. There's only like 3 guys in the
And
deck
you
with
have Red
counterblast,
Lightning to
not
inflict
including
damage.
Tiger, since Tiger doesn't count necessarily.
You have Red Lightning to unflip those damage if need be.
And you'll heal sack because the deck feels like doing that now.
Backpedaling a bit.
Yep.
Yeah, we were talking about playing recklessly. That's an example of it.
Call Red Lightning.
Just call the Red Lightning in front of whatever, or behind whatever, depending on
Just
what your
make an
thing is.
11k column. If the opponent attacks it, oh no, you're off your Red Lightning.
But if they don't, you can just move it in later to inflict damage, and then
Throw something that matters there.
it's pretty great like that.
Forcing 5 every round is better than, guarding 10 once. Anyway.
Yep, exactly.
And with 3 tough boys being the other great one, it's just that he isn't quite that integral. Always this girl does
Yeah,
the same
he's-
You'd
job.
rather have these behind, any given thing. You just want a good ride.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it's there
He's
for.
there for if we need to go ride, good ride. Otherwise, everything else makes either the same numbers or does a better thing to make it worth
With
the other guys.
Yeah, with Army Lady essentially just MLB numbers.
And that's battle.
Yeah. Alright, so speaking of which, go grade 2s. For Kirara, because people like trying to block her because they
Pressure
don't.
card. And if they block it, they're gonna get killed by everything else. So
Yep, they either block it and lose cards in the process, or they don't block it and you get more cards to use later. It's pretty great.
she's probably the best Libra ever made, just because the clan itself loves pressure
nice.
plays and it doesn't have a draw engine to speak of.
2 King of Sword because, well, good ride. 10.
Solid ride, but not especially relevant power-wise on the offensive.
Yep, 10k is always pretty cool. I mean, it's 10k.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you've got your 18s here.
18
Otherwise,
or a
you've got
7.
like 17 with this, which is fine for
Hey.
MLB, but not for cross rides. You'd
But-
rather have one of these 11s.
But even then, with this deck's design, it's a 17 column that stands again.
Nothing to complain about. It's just not super special.
Yeah, that's why he's at 2. Speaking of 2, Death Army Lady. Now, we like her, it's just that she doesn't do enough
She doesn't
anymore.
reach numbers.
And with her, along with Death Army going another column, you're gonna have to have like some weird
Yeah, if
attack
you've got
patterns
multiple
for
army ladies out, you've got to like swing rear van, which is specifically what this trigger lineup is here to avoid.
Yeah. It
You
doesn't.
don't want to play that way.
She's only there if you don't get the army guy, pretty much.
So you can put her in front of any one of these and
Yeah,
have
those
this Sir
still-
stand the column still.
Yeah, so you still have something happen, at least. Otherwise, we'd probably just take her out.
Or kings.
The only reason we don't is because, again, King is not especially special.
Yeah, still in the beta for this
Oh, yeah.
build, actually.
Yeah. And the other reason is because the other guy's deck, who's the next guy,
Which is kind of bigger than king.
he's big, and that's what makes him great.
18 with the army guy. Screw your cross rides.
Yep. The only reason there's only 2 in there is for the reason you'd expect him to be only 2 in there.
Maintaining it is hard
Yep.
if you do it over an extended period of time, which is likely to happen.
So it's best just to keep the 2 in there. If you write it, great. They're not going to stop that Vanguard attack, even if they want to.
And they're not going to hurt you.
It's just how that goes. That's why Jack's awesome. And then on to the grade 3s.
They're 4 and 4, the only things that are worth playing, to be honest. Other than Stern, but that's its own deck with its death metal droids and everything.
Yep. This one is Zerkaiser for obvious reasons. He's the standing fuel of the deck. He makes you have like 23 or 24 triggers.
Without your dragon, potential pressure if they let it through and you have an attack in your hand.
It's like, you let my Azure Dragon go, cool. You don't, well, that's cool too.
Yep.
It's not like that was really going to kill you in the first place.
Yeah, but it's all about that Kaiser. If you,
Turning that grade 3 into an attack is nice.
Pretty much the strategy for this deck is to have Death Army guy, 11k attacker most likely, D1 column. Swing with that first.
Kirara in the standing column.
And then Kaiser, Tiger as your main column, because chances are Tiger's going to stay there for a long ass time.
If not ever.
Especially with something that he needs to make an 11.
Unless like we were saying before.
Unless it's a cross-red deck you're running into, then you can throw White Tiger in the front, because you're going to need something better in the back eventually.
And sooner or later, they might end up attacking it.
Yeah. Although like we
Whatever.
keep mentioning, that's only going to be a big problem for so long before we go back down to 11 being the main thing. But for now anyway, it's that precious 18 you have to worry about. This one can do it pretty well for the most part.
Absurdly easy.
And even if it couldn't, it could keep standing in columns thanks to this guy. So
It wins
you'll
on
just
attrition.
Yep, it'll just keep hitting, and eventually they'll run out of stuff to block with.
Just keep track of how many grade 3s you've seen. If you know late, you can attack man first.
And that's actually another thing about it. Just keep attacking early and often, and block early.
That's pretty much what Nova Grapplers are. They're standing beatdown in late game. They're just regular beatdown with crits, which is better because...
Yeah, it's very different from how we usually play the deck, or used to play the deck, I should say, which was take the damage early so you would heal sooner, and then you can't. But this deck likes to reserve the damage so they can take the hits in a later game.
That's a bit safer.
Take damage moderation, and if you get pushed, fight back with Kirara,
Yep.
and then they cry.
Yeah, she's the only thing that demands any recklessness from you in terms of taking things, which is fine. I mean, have her smack a rear guard, and they're like, oh crap, 2-card deficit.
Yep. In fact, the other day we were just playing with it at McDonald's against
this was kicking the crap out of Vermilion Narukami pretty easily.
yeah, easily kicking that.
And
ass.
it was
And
going toe to toe at the end for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason it's doing really well against the end. It's probably because
the end is such a slow deck and it doesn't really do anything until turn 4.
Yeah, slow deck versus now a fast deck because the thing's hitting you from turn 1/2. So it's
Depends on how many draws they hit.
Yep. Which is why it's so important to just be a man and just make this go with somebody.
Good enough.
That's good enough for the first few rounds. And then when you have something to make it better, move it into Soul and put something else out there.
Heck, there was one time I actually flipped 3 for Oasis, moved Red Lightning in, and called a Ashura Kaiser in front of it. And the next round I was able to Counterblast 3 for her again. So good.
Yeah, it's really fun. Much more fun than I remember it being, in fact, the first time we built it. Because remember, back when we first built it was like, how many months ago? Like 5 months ago, I think?
It was a while.
It was a long time ago.
Before Booster 6 even.
Yeah, so back then, this didn't exist.
The army people didn't exist.
The army people didn't exist.
Yeah.
So
bad.
it was very limiting. Now all this stuff is here, and it made the deck upgrade a lot. So we all say it again. We are sorry, Nova Grapplers.
The only
We
thing that bothers me
didn't know.
is that we don't have Minimum Riser to play the ultimate Mind Screw trigger lineup. But once we do have Minimum Riser, we have a completely different deck that needs to be put together that is better than this, unfortunately. So,
But for now, this will do just as do pretty well against most things, actually.
Pretty much number games.
Numbers.
never heard of numbers.
I remember, like, in the anime, it's always, try to make a Death Army column, have that grade 3 stand. Don't do that.
Yeah,
Have it be buddies within 11k.
Yeah. While it's very tempting to make that column, it's not as awesome as this column. Because if you Surikaiser
Worse.
that, yes. Because if you Surikaiser and stand this or that, you're making them pressure to either drop more extra cards or making yourself get
Yeah.
more cards.
Double army column is good only if you rode Azure Dragon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Only those are dragon, and that's because, well, the exact reason why you think.
Because you swing rear man.
No,
Right? No?
Nope.
you swing the same.
Oh, that's right. Because
Rear
Azure
man.
Dragon doesn't have this Surikaiser skill. And you just save that other guy copy of himself.
And like, if you don't check the grade 3 to stand the army column persona, stand it anyway.
Ah.
Exactly. So I think that's all we can really say about this for now. Any last words before we log out?
I'm done.
All right, how about you, Dan?
Not sure if Clara.
Yep, and again, yes, Nova Grapplers and Kamui. We did not know it was actually how you played it. I mean, don't get me wrong, Kamui still plays it pretty bad because he throws everything out
It's
there.
just because he plays Street Bouncer.
White Tiger to the front. Retire it later.
But yeah, attack early and often, block early and often, win.